G'day, Shah here once again with Four Wheels on the Road, helping you get the most out of your time away. This week we're doing something a little bit different and taking a look at a free bit of kit that I got with my Flybuys points. It's the Oztrail 900 swag. Let's take a look at it. Alright, well g'day and welcome back once again. So today what we're going to do is give the swag a bit of a season. Now this is something that I'm not overly well versed in, but we'll give it a crack anyway. I've seen a few videos on it and I know a little bit about it. Ideally we'd probably like a shower head nozzle on our hose, but I actually don't have one. I've just got one that's basically just a hose. So we'll give it a crack. And what we're trying to do here is wet the swag, and as you'll see on screen here, all of the holes where the thread has actually gone through, we're trying to contract and then swell the thread and also the canvas itself so that it makes a waterproof seal around those. And that's the whole idea of seasoning the swag. So we'll get into it right now. So what we're trying to do in this instance here is get water into all of the little parts of the swag that could potentially get wet in a downpour, just so that those seams have all been seasoned in and there's no leakage at all once we actually start using the swag. So what we're trying to do here is get into all the little nooks and crannies, not just the bits that you can see on the outside that would ordinarily get wet. Because in a downpour you never know what's actually going to get wet. And water can leak into some funny different little places. Now there may be water on the inside of this after we're finished, but that's okay. Now just for information's sake, there are other ways that you can actually season the swag without doing it with a hose, like we are here. You can actually season the swag by soaking it in a bathtub, and you can soak it for a couple of hours and then take it out and put it out in the sun. The reason I prefer this way is because it's all set up and the seams are all sitting in a position, and the swag itself is sitting in a position that it would be usually sitting in where the canvas is stretched when you're actually using the swag itself. So that's just the way I prefer to do it, but it's completely up to you what you'd like to do. And we're also making sure that we're going to season the bag that the swag goes in as well. So now that we've got it all soaked in, what we're going to do is let it sit in the sun for a few hours to dry. And once it's all dry, we'll check back in on the inside of it and see if there was any ingress whatsoever. There may possibly be a couple of drops here and there, because as I didn't completely check on all of the different windows on the side, they actually zip up all the way, and I wasn't actually aware of that because, as I said, I only just got the swag and I knew nothing about it. So I actually did have some of those open a little bit when I was spraying the swag with the hose. So there may have been a couple of drops here and there that got in, but we'll see if there is. And what will happen, I would imagine, after our next soaking, which we'll do in a few hours' time, is that there should be no water ingress at all. And you can see here already that the water already beads off really well, so it probably would have been okay without us seasoning it, but you like to do it anyway, just in case, because you never know, you may actually get stuck in a whole hell of a lot of rain one day and it's not seasoned before you start using it, before it gets dirt and dust into all those little seams, And what we're really wanting to do is just sort of get water into all of those little seams to expand them out before it gets dirt and dust in there, and then that dirt and dust stops any water from going in and expanding those seams and giving it a waterproofing. Alright, so now all we need to do is just leave it in the sun until it's dry. So we'll probably leave it in the sun all day. It's winter here at the moment, so it's a little bit cold. And we'll check back in a few hours and see how it's looking. See you in a bit. Now this is something that we will cover later on when I actually do a review once we've had a sleep in the swag and used it. But what I am really impressed with so far is where the seams and everything are, and I just want to speak to that point just in terms of while we're seasoning it at the moment, because it's not really requiring too much work to actually season the thing. And if you actually have a look at where it could possibly leak, there's only really a couple of seams sort of along here. That's about it. All of the sides here are all sealed up. Then there's a canvas flap there which has a zip on it, which goes all the way down to the bottom. So there's not really a lot of places that it will actually be able to leak that I can see. So pretty bloody impressed by it, I must say. It's a good looking rig, and the material is just fantastic. The other thing that I'll note here on the end as well is where you've got the flap here that can be done up and out. You've actually got two separate sections there. So you've got one canvas door as well as one fly screen door. So it's going to have a hard time leaking on the end. And you've got one zip there and also one zip there on the outer, so it's definitely going to have a hard time leaking through there, I've got to tell you. And with the main doors on the inside here, the zips go right up, as you can see they're underneath, so they're well and truly protected by that fold over there on both accounts. And water would have a really hard time getting all the way into that zip, all the way into that fold anyway, and then even then it has to go around the corner and then into that zip there and through that zip. And then even still further, there's another canvas barrier that's protecting before you actually get to the fly screen zip, which you'll see on the bottom there. So they've really put a lot of thought into it when they built this thing. Definitely, and we'll cover a lot more of this when we actually go through the review of the thing in weeks to come. But as I said, I just wanted to cover a few of these points just while we're talking about waterproofing it at the moment. So in terms of any water ingress at all, there's only been like one spot here that I can see a couple of drops, and that's it. So there's been nothing. So it was already in pretty good condition and already pretty well seasoned, I think. Okay, so now that we've done our second soaking, we can see now that there is no water at all that's got in through any of the different seams at all, and everything is looking pretty good. I don't actually think that now, after we've done this second soaking, that we will bother with doing a third soaking. It looks pretty good to me, and as I said in the beginning, I think this swag was pretty well set up, and I think it was pretty well seasoned before we actually got it. And I think most of the seam positionings and where everything is actually positioned in terms of how it's made actually lends itself to not much water ingress anyway. So, alright, well, that'll be it for us for this one. Thanks very much for watching the video. I hope it's been a little bit informative at least. And once again, we appreciate you watching the channel, and we'll see you next time we get 4 wheels on the road.